BEAMNG Drive is number 34 in the highest rated games of Steam, and anyone can easily say that this is one of the best games of Steam and it's a great game. But having a loving and dedicated community and being a great game for everyone is not the same thing, and being kind of like in its own niche. BEAMNG Drive requires a little bit of more explanation whether this game is actually good and worth buying or not. So in this video we'll be doing just that and deciding whether BEAMNG Drive is actually good buy right now or not. And as always, I'm not gonna be wasting your time and give you the answer right away whether BEAMNG Drive is actually worth it to buy or not, and the answer is absolutely yes. This game absolutely deserves its very high rating. However, the issue is that the most fun that you will be getting from this game, you will be creating yourself. Even though the game has quite a lot of goals, you need to understand that this is a sandbox car game where you will be creating your own goals. But without explaining details, this is not making sense. So let me explain everything what this game is and what it does. First things first, what is BEAMNG Drive? A lot of different reviews are kind of like omitting this information and just gushing and praising the game. How amazing is this? But in reality, BEAMNG Drive is a car sandbox game, and in its essence it's very close to the garage mod than to other racing games. Basically, you're given a car, you're given a world around you, and you can do whatever you want, unless you have a certain modes turned on where you actually have some different goals. And in its essence, it's just that sandbox car game. But the key differentiating factor from every other game is its physics model. This game has insanely realistic physics model. There is no other car game that treats car crashes that detailed, and the damage model is not just cosmetic, it's actually mechanical as well. So for example, if you turn on the manual transmission and have all the realism cranked up, if you shift the gears poorly, you will damage your gearbox, and this will affect how the car will actually drive. And the car crashes here are spectacular. You probably have seen a lot of different videos on internet of the different car crashes in the video games. Most likely 90% of them were done in BEAMNG Drive. But okay, that's understandable. You can do whatever you want and you'll have amazing car physics. But what you are actually doing in this game? Well, first things first, outside of a sandbox where you just spawn in the world and drive whatever way that you want, you can actually have some different goals. It can be racing, it can be time attacks, it can be drags, it can be drifts, or it can be very specific type of missions, like for example police chases, delivering goods, or as simple as just bus driving. Yes, this game has it all and much more than that, because the 90% of this game's life is through its mods. This game has an insane amount of mods, and with these mods you can add basically any car that you want and add a bunch of different worlds and a bunch of different environments, bunch of different scenarios, and a lot of different things. The amount of customizability that this game has mod wise is absolutely insane, and it has one of the best mods in gaming period. And it's not just that, the game is insanely detailed as well, and not just through a damage model but through entire car models as well. Like for example, the entire car interiors are fully animated and fully functional. Like for example, if you have a GPS running, you'll actually be able to see where you are in the map. Wheel gear shifters, handbrakes, pedals are fully responsive and react exactly the same way like they would in the real life, and this realism is insanely high. And doing the different things wise, no two gamers will play the game in the same way. Like for example, if you like off-roading, you could just load some off-roader car and download a bunch of different mods for it. Download the map mode where you have a lot of great off-roading and free roaming, or you can just use the existing maps in the game, which you have a bunch of, and just go off-roading. Also, you need to understand that all maps that vanilla game has and a bunch of modded maps have also different challenges and activities built into them. You can say that something reminiscent of the Forza, where you are driving to a certain point to perform certain activities. And even that's not all. Game actually has a mod for the multiplayer as well. Yes, multiplayer technically is not in the game. You can actually download a special launcher for it where you can actually play multiplayer with your friends, and it's insanely fun. But even that is not all. Game is actually not fully finished. Yeah, technically game is in early access, but yeah, it's not that the game is unfinished fully. It's just they are adding a bunch of different things on top of what you already have, similar to what Project Zomboid is actually doing. And because of this, they actually recently started adding the career mode in the game. Yes, you actually have different missions, and even though career mode is not actually done, when you go into the game it's actually grayed out, you can actually play it. Just click it multiple times and you will be told that it's an early access and will have a bunch, and it's not completely finished, and then you can just start playing it anyway. And career is actually pretty fun. Basically, you're starting with a crappy car and your goal is to progress through this world and become, well, and have much better car park. And you are doing this through different missions, and you'll have different career paths. You can go with an adventurous path or racer or just regular laborer, and you can just progress in whatever way that you want. And yeah, it's not fully finished yet, but already it looks pretty great. And speaking of early access, the game has actually a great continuous support, and game is being upgraded constantly, which is insanely great thing. And yeah, just like with other games, like for example Terraria or Project Zomboid, you can understand that the developers actually love this game and they are actually doing everything to make it as perfect as possible. And yeah, game actually has the full support of sim racing gear, like for example like steering wheels, gear shifters, and with those the game transforms even more, making it basically perfect sandbox car game. To sum it up, it's more like a sim racer than an arcade, but it's actually very good at that. But now let's talk about the important part, and its pricing. Game is available for the base price of $24.99 in US and can go at around $10 for the lower tier countries, and it's actually not going very often on a sale, and it's not going into very deep sales. The deepest sale it has was only 33%, and it's understandable because a lot of people are still playing it. And speaking of people playing it, it is on the rise since 2015 and it's not showing any signs of stopping. And right now it has more play than it ever did, and it hit all-time peak just a few weeks ago, with the player numbers fluctuating from 10 to 25,000 at any given moment of the day. So is it actually worth it for the prices this game is asking? I think absolutely. Even though game is not going off at a discount, even for the full price, this game is absolutely worth it. The amount of content that you're receiving just through mods is absolutely insane. And some might say that, oh, this is just lazy, that developers are actually depending on the mod creators rather than create a lot of gameplay themselves. But that's actually not true. Even without mods, game has a lot of things to do. And even if game had 0 mods available, I would still say that it's worth it. Mods are just increasing the value of the game 10 times, or maybe even more. So I highly suggest you to get this game. And if you like car driving, you probably will like this game, Assetto Corsa, and watch why people cannot stop playing it. Or if you're just into PC gaming, you can watch the video right here for the best PC games there is. Oh yeah, and don't forget to subscribe right here as well. This will be it for today, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Take care.